Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Thomas Haub from the European Commission. I am a member of the evaluations team in DG Connect, in the DG who organizes this event. I'm going to talk to you about how to write a proposal, and I will run you through many slides. I will only slightly touch on a lot of them because I have them in the presentation for you to take a look at them whenever you need. They will be uploaded on my presentation will be uploaded on the internet so that you can download it and take a look at the busiest slides at your own convenience at home. So it sounds a lot, it is a lot, but I will, as I said to you, there are many slides where I will only scratch on the surface. I would like you to take home from this presentation an overview, a proper overview of the proposal writing, submission, evaluation, and selection process, so that you get a good idea what we are talking about when we are talking about proposal, submission, evaluation, and selection. There will be one point in the presentation that I will stress to the utmost, because it will be the single point where we have a lot of problems whenever we run evaluations, and I'm running evaluations all the time, so to say. So there is one thing you really must take home, and you must pay attention to it when you are home, because it's the single most problematic aspect of an evaluation. I will go through guidance and information. Then I will talk about the H2020 rules for participation, about the submission system, the evaluation process, and one slide on cross-cutting features. The guidance and information part with which I'm going to start is about the new tender and funding portal that will be the single entry point for you as researchers, for people who are looking for information on H2020 as of the 1st of January. For the time being, we still have the old participant portal, plus already the new tender and funding and tender portal. But as of the 1st of January, the old participant portal will be switched off, and we will only have the new one, and I'm running you through the new one, of course, and I will do that live on the internet. All the other things will then go by my slides. So this, that was a bit too early. So we have a new portal, and here you have the new address. Whenever you enter participant portal in any funding, in any search engine, it shows up as the first hit. So you need not memorize this address. Google it. Use any other search engine and put in participant portal, and it'll come. The most important thing of this new portal is it has all the features of the old one, of the H2020 portal, but it is about all the programs that the Commission runs. So you may find funding and tendering opportunities now that you would not have found under the current portal. As I already told you, the new one will replace the old one as of the 1st of January, and as it was already the case under the old portal, you are going to have your private space on it, and you will use it for all your proposals, your projects, and for the communication with the Commission. As I told you, the new portal is about all the programs. So you have here all the programs where the Commission hands out grants or hands out tenders. And H2020 is only one of them, but of course it is one of the most important, if not the most important one. And you see it here. Can I have a pointer, or would it not work? Can use the mouse. Okay. Okay. You see here the H2020 program, and when you click on it, it opens up. This is the H2020 landing page with a small description of the program, with additional information on how to find calls for proposals, project results, and things like that. The most important feature on this page is, of course, the search functionality. And when you give in ICT, you will get a list of ICT-related topics. So you can already, at this point, narrow down your search, or you just hit in ICT. You have additional filtering functionalities, but these you already have when on the next page as well. This is what you see. This is what you see when you go to ICT, and you see here we have only grants for the time being. I'm using it as if I am never interested in a procurement, in a delivery of goods or services to the European Commission or to Europe. If I hit here, if I add tendering, I think we are going to have 2 more. We had 2 more last week, but now they have disappeared. They may have had their... Yeah, nothing happens. Last week there were 2 more when I added tendering on, and now they have disappeared. Probably the deadline was in the past days. You see here all the topics that are currently open under ICT. And it starts, of course, with the ones that are now open for submission. Later on, further down, when you scroll further down or go to another page, you will find the ones that are forthcoming. Here we have one where I am currently in charge of the evaluation. No, this is not the one. Okay, here you see what happens. This is a topic landing page. So you have looked for a topic via the search functionality. You may have narrowed it down using one of the filtering options, and now you have found the the topic you are interested in, and on this topic page you will find all the information that you need as a framework for the writing of your proposal. You have all the details that are available on this page. Here on the left hand, an additional list of items here on the left. And it starts with the topic description. So what are we calling for under this topic? This is most important because this topic description is the point against which the evaluator will judge your proposal, will assess your proposal scientifically. I come to that later on. The first of the three evaluation criteria, excellence, under this criterion, the evaluators assess your proposals against the topic description. Then it goes down to the topic conditions and documents, and when you click on this, you will see all the additional you will see all the details that are important for this topic when it comes to, say, more administrative aspects of a proposal. You see here which type of action you can apply for. You will see the evaluation criteria. Normally they are standard and general, but there can be a difference. You will see the countries that are eligible for funding, and most importantly, you will find all the documents that you need. For example, the work program you can find here under topic description, and documents, and this is also important, the annexes to the work program. In the annexes you find specified information that may be relevant for your proposal, and it is important to know that under topic conditions and documents you can also find the annexes to the work program. As this is open for submission for the time being, you will find the submission button here. I go to the details later on, but here you can see for this topic, ICT2018 2019, you have two possibilities. You can either submit a coordination and support action, a CSA proposal, or an innovation action, or an innovation action on the second point. If you click on it, you will be asked again to confirm that you want, in my case now, that you want to submit an innovation action and not the other one, a CSA. This was the first tab here. I was talking about the first tab here on the main on the main menu. Let me just slightly go to the second tab. This gives you the key steps in the building of a proposal. First, find a call, find partners, create your accounts in order to be able to participate in H2020, register your organization, and then write and submit your proposal. I would like you to know that you have a partner search functionality here. So if you are missing partners, you can look for partners, you can search for partners here on this page. This page gives you all the partners that are currently offering or looking for expertise under H2020. So this is rather general, and you will get a lot of hits. There is a partner search functionality also on the topic page, and in the topic page, the partners, the expertise offered or the expertise requested only relates to the topic. So if you have a topic in mind, if you know what you wanna, in which area you wanna submit a proposal, use the partner search functionality on the topic page and not the one, and not this general one which gives you access to the entire partner search database that we have for the time being. You also have here under this same tab, you can find again all the documents that you need. Also here you have access to the work program and its annexes, and they are grouped by program, of course. You can later on either access your participant identification code PIC that you need for all the partners in the proposal. Any partner in a proposal, partner, needs to have such a PIC, a participant identification code. If you don't have a participant identification code, you can get one by registering here as well. This I already said. And then we have the submission system, and I'm starting to go a little bit into the detail. You click on Start Submission, and then you will be asked again for the confirmation whether you would like to really go for an innovation action, or for a CSA, or for a RIA. This submission tool opens at a certain point in time, and for most of our DG Connect calls, for our ICT-related calls, it closes at a certain point in time. We don't have any call in ICT where you have several submission deadlines. It opens and it closes, and when it is open, you can submit a proposal. You can save your proposal and submit it later on, and you can submit as long as the deadline, as long as the system is open. You can submit as often as you want. So no fear. Give us an outline of your proposal 1 month after opening. The system will still be open for 3 months. It must be open for 3 months. In most cases, it is open for 4 months. Give us an outline. Give us a draft. Put it into the system. Submit it so that you get used to the submission tool. See what is missing. We have a validation button. See what is missing. Take a look. Experience it. And then, whenever you have a new draft, whenever you have further developed your proposal, submit it again, and the new one will always, and this is important, will always override the old one. And for data protection reasons, it overrides it irretrievably. We cannot go back to the version that was submitted before. It is overwritten and not accessible for us anymore. This is important. If you make a mistake in the heat of the last day of the submission, you cannot ask us go back to the version before. We have no access to it. It's really overwritten for data protection reasons. I will highlight that again later. A proposal consists of Part A, the administrative data, and Part B. Part B is 2 PDF documents, one with the technical annex, one with the science and innovation, and the other one with information on the participant organizations, on the staff, and on ethics and security. If you go to the top right corner of the new funding portal, you can enter your EU login credentials, and you have access to your private space, so to say. For the ones of you who have such a private space now under the participant portal, they will have access with the same credentials to their space on the new portal. And there you can see the organizations I'm involved in. For most of you, this will be one organization, but there are people for whom it will be more. All the grants and proposals you are a partner in, and most importantly, all your notifications. When we deal with you after submission, during evaluation, when we communicate to you the evaluation results, and later on when we prepare with you the research contract or the CSA grant, then we will communicate to you via your private space on the portal. You will get an email notification telling you that there is new stuff for you, but then you need to go to your private space in order to have access to it. And we now use this as well. We also use this. We have been using it for 1 week now for answers to redress cases. If you complain about your evaluation, and we work on your redress case and we tell you the result, then we also do this via your private space. You see, when there is another view, and it says that I have 400 notifications because we are testing the system. Of course, it does not mean that I'm lazy. This is the first page on which I will only touch slightly. There, of course, as always, you can misuse such a portal. You can use it for criminal or unallowed purposes, and this is why my colleagues from DG RTD, who are responsible for the content of this portal, asked me to show you this page. I will not go into the details. It reminded me of an old Austrian song by Falco. Das Verbrechen ist immer und überall, so the criminals are anytime and everywhere, and this is why we have this page. I'm coming to the rules for participation, so I'm getting closer to what you need to know when you want to submit a proposal to H2020. In principle, there are grants and something else. And for the grants, the most important things are research and innovation actions, RIA, innovation actions, IA, and coordination and support actions, CSA. I will go into the details later on. The other three exist. They are rare. I have slides on them for reasons of completeness, but I will not talk about them much. There are three more types of action, three more different actions under which you could submit a proposal, but they are rare. It is 5, 6, 10 proposals a year under the three other ones, so I will not really touch on them. We also have framework partnership agreements. I will say one word on this later on. And prizes. This is something new under H2020. You can win a prize. And for the time being, for example, we have several prizes open. And when you do a research on ICT and you look, for example, for ICT for energy, and there is a prize open, the new system will also show you the prize. Research and innovation actions are the typical research action that we call for under H2020. Here we really want you, if you go for a research and innovation action, we want you to push the frontiers of research. We want you to come up with new knowledge or with the application, with the technical application of existing knowledge. This is also possible. But it is a research-driven project. Its aim is not to bring research closer to the market. No, it's a research-driven project, and what we want you to do, if you go for a research and innovation action, we want you to do hard science. Whereas when you go for an innovation action, we want you to use existing hard science and to apply it either to a new scientific field, to a new technological problem, to a new service, a new product, with the aim of bringing this product to the market, or you stop just before the market. We, as the Commission, we have to be neutral when it comes to competition among market actors. So we cannot really fund something that is competing in the market, but in order for you to bring it to the market, to bring a new product, a new service to the market based on existing knowledge, you would go for an innovation action. You may have a research aspect in it, because it may be necessary to do some supplementary research in order to adapt the knowledge that you are going to use to the new situation. But this cannot be the core. This is only a minor aspect. The main aspect is to push something close to the market, which is already existing. Coordination and support actions have been around for very many years. They have never changed. These are actions that help us run the program. For example, clustering activities among projects in the same area, networking activities. Sometimes we use a CSA for organizing a conference like this one. We may ask via a CSA to help us in the strategic planning of a new framework program and things like that. So supporting the Commission in running H2020 or coordinating projects, stakeholders, and things like that. If we ask for that and you go for it, you would opt for a coordination and support action. ERA-Net Co-Fund. ERA means European Research Area. There we give a little bit of money, normally 33% of the total cost, in order to help member states to run calls together, to do scientific research together to open up their programs for other nationals. We are topping up the amounts, but as I told you, it's a rare type of action. As is pre-commercial procurement, here we ask people, we ask interested parties to procure research together. They have a joint interest. They procure research together, and then they will hopefully get a result for their joint interest, or they procure solutions already. They have a common interest. There is a solution already which has never been tested and tried out. So now they are buying this solution together. They are sharing the risk and they go for it. If you would, we are calling for these PPI actions twice a year, I would say, and if you find this and you find it interesting, then you need to go for this type of action. Partnership agreements are projects of a strategic importance for Europe, and where we want to establish a long-term relationship, a long-term partnership. In the opening session this morning, several times the European High Performance Computing Joint Undertaking was mentioned. This undertaking was based on such a long-term partnership agreement. We have another one. And this is even a better example for low-power microprocessor production in Europe. Currently, it was created last year. So we have an open call for the partnership. We call for the scientific community and their partners to make a proposal to win the partnership, and then we select the partnership. So the first thing is an open call for the creation of the consortium for the partnership, and later on, once we have selected the proposal that is in charge of the partnership, then we do closed calls. We ask them to submit proposals implementing their research agenda, and these calls are then not open anymore. Nevertheless, they are done by independent experts, and it happens regularly that we do not accept such a proposal from an established partnership. We call these proposals specific grants because they only serve this partnership. This was it regarding the types of action which you can use to apply for H2020 proposals. The most important are research and innovation actions, coordination and support actions, and innovation actions. As I told you, we are calling for them all the time. The other ones are rare beasts. In order for a proposal to be admissible for evaluation, it must be submitted via the electronic submission service. It has now stopped that people send in paper proposals, but at the beginning of H2020, we still got a paper proposal every now and then. So this is one of the admissibility conditions. You must send it via this submission tool. The proposal must be readable, accessible, and printable, and you must take care of that. Check out that by any chance the PDF that you are uploading onto our server does not erase all the data. That happens. not often, but it happens. It must be accessible, so we must be able to open the PDF and print the document. A proposal must be complete. It must have a complete Part A, administrative data, and a complete Part Bs, which means both the PDFs with the technical annex and with the information on the participant organization and their personnel, and with the information on ethics, if applicable, and security must be there. We almost always ask for a draft plan for exploitation and dissemination. In rare cases, the work program says this is not necessary, but in most of the cases it is. And the rule of thumb is the closer you get to the market, the longer and more detailed this draft plan for exploitation and dissemination is. If you are doing basic research, a couple of lines will do. What you imagine, what will be done with your research results. If you are working on an innovation action, which is very close to the market, where you are running the last demonstration under real life conditions, there we expect a full-blown plan for exploitation and dissemination, where you really tell us what are you going to do with the results of the proposal and what each partner in the consortium is going to do with the results. So the rule of thumb, the closer you are to the market, the longer and more detailed this plan is. And it is an admissibility criterion for practically all calls. If you don't have it, the proposal is not admissible and will not be evaluated. To all the proposals, page limits apply. You already saw them on the busy slides. I will get back to that later on. We do evaluate overshooting proposals. So if a proposal has 70 pages and you've written 71, your proposal will be evaluated, but everything which is beyond 70 in my example will be blanked out so that the evaluators cannot see it. Eligibility conditions for a proposal. So we have the technical and physical admissibility conditions on the one hand and the eligibility conditions on the other. The proposal must be in scope of the call, which means it must respond to what we are asking for in the topic conditions. This very top point on the topic page where it said topic conditions, what the proposal must answer to what we are asking for there. The proposal must have the minimum number of partners, which is 3 independent partners from 3 different member states or associated countries for a research and innovation action, and an innovation action, or 1 legal entity from a member state or an associated country for a CSA. There can be additional conditions in the work program, but they are rare. Be careful that you check that the partners are really eligible, in particular if you have a low number of partners. I had a proposal last week it was a RIA proposal. It was only 3 partners, and 1 partner was on the Isle of Man, because the proposers thought that the Isle of Man was a member of the European Union because it somehow belongs to the United Kingdom. But the Isle of Man isn't. The Isle of Man is, for example, the Channel Islands are not part of the European Union, so they can participate in proposals, but they don't count when it comes to the minimum number. In my example last week with the Isle of Man, they only had 3 partners. One of them was not eligible, so the proposal was not, the entire proposal was not eligible, and all the work they had done was for nothing. So if you have a slow number of partners, make sure that they are really eligible. Sometimes if you have 25 partners, it's normally no problem, but if you have a small number, make sure that all of them are eligible. Eligible for funding, and I already said so, are all the organizations which are established in a member state or in an associated country or in a third country listed in the work program Annex A. And this is one of the reasons I told you the work program annexes are important. So you go here again, search for funding, and then I hit again ICT. Takes a little bit. I go back to it later on. It can be entities created under European Union law, like the Joint Research Center of the European Union. Then, of course, the CERN in Geneva and the European Space Agency, which are organizations of European interest. They are eligible for funding, and other entities from industrialized countries may participate if they are absolutely necessary in a proposal and if it is in a European interest. At the beginning of H2020, Switzerland was not associated with it. It now fully is, and Switzerland doesn't pose any problem anymore, but at the beginning it wasn't. But there are the people from the Polytechnicum in Lausanne, and they are the world leader in image generation and image processing. Whenever they were in a proposal, although Switzerland was not an associated country then, we funded them because it was in the European interest that our researchers from the European Union can work with these world-leading specialists in Lausanne. And this can happen with other organizations in the United States, in Australia, and so on. Sometimes we also have funding agreements with industrialized countries. Very often when it comes to ICT for health, we have funding agreements. For example, normally we can fund health organizations in the United States with European funding, and they fund in return European organizations that participate in their calls. Not eligible for funding are normally the highly industrialized, except for these exceptions. Normally not eligible for funding are partners from highly industrialized, high-income countries, and of course the usual suspects are the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, China, South Korea, and Japan. They are normally not eligible for funding. They can take part, they can be partner in a proposal, but they won't get money from Europe except for these 2 bullet points down here where there are exceptions. It still loads, so I think we forget about that. We fund 100% for all partners in research and innovation activities, and 100% of all non-profit partners, in innovation actions. For the for-profit partners, so for the industrial partners, we only fund 70% here. We fund 90% for PCP and PPI, as I already told you, and 33% for ERANET. To the direct costs, to the costs that are generated by the project and by the project alone, we add 25% overrate. This is one of the most important simplifications under H2020. We just add 25% overhead cost to the total direct costs of the proposal, and that's it. More details are here. We are now starting to run pilots with lump sum proposals, but I think no pilot has been closed so far. But in the new work program, for 2020 that we are writing right now, we are going to have pilots on lump sum proposals, so you just may get a certain amount of money if you do the research that you promise to do in the proposal, and that's it. Funding can never exceed the total eligible cost minus receipts. We are thinking about changing that for Horizon Europe, because generating receipts, if you have to deduct them from your proposal budget, from what the Commission will refund you, is of course an incitation not to have receipts, and we are thinking about to change that perhaps under the new program that will start in 2021. I'm coming to proposal submission. For the submission system, in order to, when you go further down in the submission system, when you hit this yellow button that I showed you, when you go further down, you need your EU login and your password. If you don't have it, there is a link on the page how to get it. You need your participant identification code, PIC, for all the partners, and then you start preparing your proposals. Your proposal, you fill in part A and you upload the technical annex plus the second PDF document with the content of your proposal. I think I need to change that. That is not precise enough. We have a validation button, as I already told you, so you can hit the validation button and it will tell you whether there are problems. There are three kinds of problems. There are problems that disallow you to submit, and you first must give the information in order to be allowed to submit. Then there are warnings that important information are missing, but you are allowed to submit, but you may have a problem afterwards in the evaluation if you don't give us this information. And there is a third kind of warning, that your proposal is too long, and we are asking you to shorten it in order for it to stay within the page limits. But if you don't do that, as I already told you, it will nevertheless be evaluated, because overshooting pages do not prevent a proposal from going to the evaluation if all the other conditions are fulfilled. Submit, I told you already, submit at an early stage and submit again and again the further you get in the refinement of your proposal. The one and most important thing that I want to tell you is don't start submission half an hour before the deadline. The single most problem that we have, and we still have it, although we have been trying to hammer this information back to you for years now, the single most important problem that we have is that people start at 1650 submitting for the first time a proposal and then making mistakes. We lately had a case where they had 17 times submitted all the time correctly, and then they did a last submission at 1658, and by mistake they submitted the technical annex twice, and the ethics and partner information was missing. What was the result? The proposal is incomplete because a part is missing, and an incomplete proposal is not admissible, and a proposal that is not admissible cannot go to the evaluation. So I would really like you to take as your individual deadline 24 hours before the deadline. You submit, and then the next day, when you get your sealed PDF version of what you have submitted, and you see you made a mistake, then you can heal the mistake. If you do it at 1658, and I will show you statistics on the next slide, if you start at 1658, it may be too late. We have not had any technical problems. I'm not kidding. We have not had any technical problems for 1.5 years now with the submission system. The submission system runs very, very stably. So there is no problem with that. All the problems we have are panic, as my boss used to call them, panic-induced errors because we are getting to 1700 on the day, and you still want to upload something new. Please don't do that. Administrative forms have two parts. One, the general information on the proposal, its title, its acronym, the topic to which it refers, and so on. The proposal abstract, you tell us if your proposal is a reapplication or a resubmission, and it is only a resubmission if a very similar proposal was submitted to any call in the last 2 years before the call deadline. If you submitted something similar 3 years ago, you need not tick the resubmission box because we only go back 2 years. And you also need to fill in the declarations. The declarations are, for example, that all the partners have agreed to be partner in this proposal, that you fulfill the financial obligations that come with a project, and so on. And then we have section 2, all the details about the participants and their contacts. We have the administrative form 3 for the budget, and this varies, of course, depending on which type of action. Then we have an ethics questionnaire. It's just a questionnaire with 12 points in part A. And if you think that your proposal raises ethics questions, and for example, this is the case for all ICT for health proposals or for transport proposals, where you track the movement of people or of people in cars and things like that. So proposals that raise ethic questions, you will tell us here in the questionnaire, and you will give us more details. I'm coming to that in Part B, Section 4. And then we have call-specific questions, for example, relating to clinical trials when it comes to ICT for help, or special questions for these rarer type of actions, ERANET, and so on. We always have a call-specific question, which is the open data pilot. Then we have Part B. These are these two PDFs with the technical annex of your proposal, and this is in Section 1, 2, and 3. We have two PDFs because the first one, Sections 1 to 3, is the hard scientific or innovative content of your proposal, and this section relates to the three evaluation criteria: excellence, impact, and implementation. And you will find specific questions on these three items depending on the type of action in your forms. You can always rely on the forms that you will find in the system. We check that several times. If there are special conditions, the forms will contain the special conditions, and so on. When you go to the submission system, you can download the forms, you can fill in the forms, you can save it on your private PC or in your cloud. But if you want to save it on the submission server, you have to submit them. That's it. So the first part is built around the three evaluation criteria: excellence, impact, and implementation. Excellence refers to the topic description, as I already said. So impact refers to a section in the work program under each topic called expected impacts, where we tell you what we expect from the proposal to achieve, plus exploitation, dissemination, and communication. And then we have the implementation criterion, the consortium, whether it is interrelated, whether the tasks are well distributed, the description of the tasks, and so on. Then we have the second PDF. This is sections 4 and 5 of Part B. This first part here, let me get back to that, please. This is the part to which the page limit applies. Only to this part, only to sections 1 to 3 of Part B of the proposal, the page limit applies. To the next one, sections 4 and 5, the page limit does not apply. Please don't move things that should go under sections 1 to 3 to sections 4 and 5, because this may cause problems for the eligibility of your proposals. This is a rare case, but we had one recently where they had put a lot of footnotes that should have gone under sections 1 to 3. They had moved them into section 4, and we did not allow for that. So please put your description of the content of your proposal into sections 1 to 3, and the additional information on the members of the consortium, and on ethics and security in sections 4 and 5. Section 4 would mean a short description of the participant organization, then the CVs, skills and experience of the staff, of the important staff that is going to work on the project, relevant publications and earlier achievements, and involvement in earlier programs and projects in the area of the proposal. Section 5, ethics and security. The important aspect here, because it is for many proposals, is ethics. If you tick in the ethics table in Part A that your proposal raises an ethics problem, for example, because you are going to move data of Europeans to the United States, or you are tracking people when they are on the move, or you are dealing with health data, then you must tell us here in Part B, Section 5, what you are going to do in order to make your proposal ethically watertight, so that it does not cause problems on the ethics side once the project is running. Your proposal, if your proposal is related to classified information, to the security of member states, to the security of industry and so on, then it may raise also security issues, and you must answer to those. I don't want to go into the details here because it is rather rare. It is always important when it comes to cybersecurity, of course, but nevertheless it is rather rare. If you need more information on this, go to Annex J in the work program, please. As I already told you, you will always have the correct templates in the submission system. Page limits are 70 pages for research and innovation actions and innovation actions, and for PCP and PPI, and 50 pages for CSAs and I think ERANET, I'm not sure. There may be stricter pages for FET, Future and Emerging Technologies. We often only have 16 pages because we are flooded with thousands, with 1,000 or more than 1,000 proposals per call, and we cannot manage to evaluate 70,000 pages in one call. So for FET, you may have a stricter limit of often 16 pages, and we sometimes, rarely, but sometimes we divide a call into 2 steps. First, you just give us 10 pages of your project idea, and only if this goes through, you will be invited to submit a full proposal. And if this is the case, if it is a 2-stage evaluation, then in the first stage, normally we ask for 10 pages. Both are rare. FET is only one of many topics, and 2-stage evaluations are rare as well, but nevertheless check that there is no stricter page limit. And as I told you, we warn you when you submit, you get a warning if your proposal is too long, and if you leave it nevertheless, then the overshooting part will not be evaluated, will not be seen by the evaluators. Each submission overrides the previous one, I already told you, so don't stop to give us intermediate steps of your proposals, then you have something in the system. Do a first submission in at the beginning of the submission period in order to get used to it. Make your final submission in good time. My personal advice, 24 hours before the real deadline, and then take a look the next day what you have as a sealed PDF, and if there still is if there is a mistake, a big mistake, then you still have time to correct it. Never do the first submission in the last 30 minutes of the call, and if there is a problem, immediately call the help desk. On the submission page, you have a tab support, and if you have a problem, and there can be problems, of course, and don't hesitate to call the help desk immediately. We once had a call 3 years ago where the Microsoft Explorer browser was changed. There were changes the day before the deadline, and these changes resulted in all the PDFs uploaded in our servers empty. This was a problem, of course, and it was a big problem, and so we extended the deadline. We did the necessary changes on our side. We extended the deadline, and the problem was solved, or could be solved. Everybody was informed about it, and everybody resubmitted. If you have a small scale, a private, so to say, problem when submitting a proposal, please call the help desk immediately. We have some margin of maneuver to accept, if there is a real problem, if our logs show that there was a problem, you will be allowed to submit the missing document later. So we have a certain margin of maneuver, but you need to act immediately. These peaks show you what happened at certain deadlines in 2014. I kept the old slide because there were many proposals then at the start of the framework program, and you see how the peaks go just around the deadline. The curve is relatively flat, and then the deadline comes. People wake up and submit. This is pure statistics. But here you see deadline was for the ICT 2014 called, the deadline was at 1700, and at 1625 we had 1150 proposals in the system, and at 1700, 35 minutes later, we had 1300 proposals in the system, which means that 150 consortia took the risk under a new system and a new framework program to submit their proposal for the first time in the last 35 minutes. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm coming to the evaluation process, and we are coming slowly to an end. Slowly, but we are coming to an end. So we are getting the proposals. We check them for admissibility and eligibility, and then we give them to independent, outside, external experts for an individual evaluation, which means we ask the experts to take a look at the proposal and to give us their private, their professional, individual opinion on the proposal. They don't know who the other experts are. We ask them, give us your opinion on this proposal, full stop. Then they come together for consensus groups, for consensus meetings, which means we invite all the experts to Brussels or to Luxembourg, and the experts who were individually working on a certain proposal are coming now together to find a consensual view on it. If they cannot find a consensual view, rare but regular, it's rare, I would say 3% of all the consensus groups cannot find consensus, then this question goes on to the panel. But normally experts are capable of finding a consensual view on the proposal before them. Then we have the panel meeting at the end of an evaluation week in Brussels or Luxembourg. All the experts are coming together and check the proposals against each other to make sure that one group of experts did not apply harsher conditions than another one. So we do a calibration exercise in the panel review, and at the end of the panel review, we have a panel ranked list, a list of all the proposals in order of their total score, in order of their quality, and this list is taken then by the Commission for invitation for grant preparation or for rejection or for reserve list. Under FP7, we were allowed for strategic reasons to change the order on the list. So the Commission could change the order on the list. 10 years ago, we are not allowed to do that anymore. If we want to do it, then we need a decision of the College of Commissioners. So it really goes on the agenda of the Commission, of our political masters, and they then have to decide if they allow us to do so. In DG Connect, we have not had the case yet, and we are at the end of the 5th year of the program. So in principle, what the experts give us is the Bible, and this is what we take when we invite for grant preparation. The consensus group meetings and the panel reviews are always monitored by independent experts. These independent experts are experienced evaluators who send a report to one of our directors, a director which is not involved in evaluations, and they tell us if it was correct or not, and they give hints how to improve the process. We had one case a couple of years ago where the observatory board was of bad quality because a newcomer head of unit had made a bad mistake, and we reorganized the entire evaluation for this topic again. So it's really something serious. Of course, this is a rare case, but if there are bad mistakes, they get addressed and corrected. Most of the time we get green light, almost always we get green light from the observers, but always they have ideas how to improve the process, and there is no one evaluation which is exactly the same as the one before, because we always find something to improve, to create a new slide, a new set of slides, to change minor things in order to make the process more geared to the objective to fund the best proposals and nothing else. When we invite for grant preparation, so for the contract by which we fund the successful proposals, we don't negotiate the contract. We don't negotiate the content of the contract anymore. This was among the other big simplifications under H2020. So if a proposal is successful, if it is high enough on the ranked list, and we have money for it, it can be funded as it is. We asked the experts to identify shortcomings in the proposals, to highlight the positive and the negative aspects, but we don't make any recommendations anymore how to heal the shortcomings, because we don't negotiate. If there are shortcomings, the proposal gets a lower score, and if it has significant shortcomings, significant weaknesses in the fourth bullet point here, then it must go below threshold. And the two items of a significant weakness is the proposal cannot achieve what it promises to achieve. This is a rare case, but I remember one case where in the panel meeting, when the work of the consensus group was checked, where in the panel meeting an expert rose to his feet and said, this is against a certain law of nature, this cannot be achieved. And he could convince the other experts it was scored down below threshold. It is a rare case as well, but it happens. Or if the resources, and this is the more current case, if the resources are seriously overestimated. As we do not negotiate anymore, we cannot negotiate the budget anymore. But of course, we don't want to spend taxpayers' money, European funds, on a proposal that is where the experts tell us they ask for 30% more of resources than is necessary. If this is the case, if the resources are seriously overestimated, then as well the proposal goes below threshold and has no funding chances. Because of this simplification step, no negotiations anymore. Please give us realistic resource figures. As I already said, any proposal that is above threshold can be funded as it is. Very often, I would say in most cases, when we get in the grant preparation steps, in the contract preparation steps, when we get the project, the technical annex, very often the consortia address the shortcomings that the experts identified, but we don't ask for it. In almost all the cases it happens, but we don't ask for it. A proposal that is above threshold and for which we have money is regarded as good enough to be funded. I already told you the proposals are evaluated by independent experts. We have observers to check our work and the work of the experts. The three evaluation criteria are excellence, impact, and implementation. These three evaluation criteria are subdivided in sub-criteria according to the type of action. Of course, a research proposal needs other sub-criteria as a coordination and support proposal. If there are additional sub-criteria, when we have international calls, we often have an additional sub-criteria saying you must have a partner proposal in the third country with which we have the call. All this you will find in the work program. The normal sub-criteria, the thresholds and the weightings are in Annex H of the work program. These are the sub-criteria for standard research and innovation plus innovation actions. These are the ones for CSAs, and you see it immediately, they are different. You can find the sub-criteria for the other ones as well. I don't go into the details here. I wanted to have this in the slide deck, but I don't talk about it much. The scores for the 3 criteria range from 0 to 5. 0 means information is missing, 5 means excellent. Normally there is a threshold of 3 per individual criterion and a total score threshold of 10, which means a proposal must have a score of 3 under each criterion and a score of 10 overall. For innovation actions, because they are so close to the market, when we do the ranking, we give a weighting factor to impact, and we consider impact first if we have to make a decision among proposals which have the same total score. There are deviations from this. This is very general. There are pretty often deviations from this. All this can be found in the topic description and the topic page. All participants in the proposal must have the operational capacity to do what they promise to do in the proposal, what their task is in the proposal. They must have the skills, the experience, but also the equipment. And we check that. I've talked about it in section 4 of part B of the proposal. Curricula vitae, description of the organizations, publications, earlier achievements, and so on. We also check the financial capacity of the coordinator for any proposal that has more of 500,000 euro funding and where the coordinator is not a public body, and so on. As I already told you, the experts give us a list of all the proposals in descending order of total scores. We start from the top and fund as many as we have budget. We have a certain margin of maneuver. If you run out of 10,000 euro, if you go beyond our budget limit by 10,000 euro, but the proposal has 3 million of funding requests, then it would be crazy not to fund this proposal for 10,000 euro. So we take the 10,000 euro from somewhere else. We have a certain flexibility, but in principle we go down from the top and it stops where the funding ends, which means that a high rank is most important for your proposal. If proposals have identical scores and we don't have enough money, then we decide between them. First, we take among a group of proposals that have an identical score, we first take the proposal that addresses an aspect written in the work program, not any aspect, but an aspect written in the work program that has not been addressed by any higher ranking proposals. If this is not the case, or if it has been solved already, then we give priority to a proposal that has a higher score for excellence. If the score for excellence is the same, then the score for impact, or first for impact, then for excellence for innovation actions. If there are still ties, if there are still proposals with the same score where we cannot take a decision based on the first 2 bullet points, we go down to the 3rd bullet points. This only happens in big calls, of course, because normally in a small call you don't get down to the 3rd bullet point, but if it is the case, then we would give priority to the proposal that has a higher absolute budget for small and medium-sized enterprises in order to stimulate the participation of SMEs in the program. And if even this does not help, we look into the gender balance of the people that are described in section 4 of part B, and a proposal will get priority that is closer to the ideal of 50% men and 50% women. This plays a role this can play a role in very big calls where we expect a lot of proposals. I will now run the evaluation of a topic beginning of February where we have 102 proposals submitted. There it may go down to gender. If you have only 30 proposals, normally it doesn't happen. So, and the second thing is it normally only happens where you don't have SMEs at all, because then the SME budget is 0, the SME condition drops, and then you go to gender. It can play a role in big calls. And then a proposal gets priority that comes closer to the ideal of 50% men and 50% women working on it. This is a tool to stimulate. It was brought in by the European Parliament. This is a tool to stimulate the participation of women in the proposals. If even that does not help and we still have ties, then the experts can decide on additional criteria. For example, this proposal is friendlier for clustering than another one. This proposal addresses more aspects of the work program than the other one, and things like that. I have never seen that it goes down to the 4th bullet point. The 5th one, and once you have done this for a group of proposals with the same total score, you do it for the next group, which is below it, until you have decided the ranking order to its end. Proposals have to comply with all the legislation which is in force, and it must comply with ethics standards. When you fill in your proposal, you have a short and handy guide on how to deal with ethics. For the successful proposals, for the proposals that we invite for funding or which we put on the reserve list, we run an ethics review, either in-house. If a proposal has no ethics issues, we run it in-house and trained colleagues tell us, yes, there is really nothing. This proposal can go as it was. If there are ethics issues, then we put ethics reviewers, ethics evaluators on it, and they tell us if the proposal addresses comprehensively the ethics issues it raises. If it does so, if all the ethics issues that are raised by the proposal are taken into account in the workings of the proposal by the consortium, then this proposal gets ethics clearance without further ado. If not, the ethics experts will impose conditions on the proposals, conditional ethics clearance, which means you get contractual obligations that you have to fulfill, very often reporting obligations, but we may oblige you to add an ethics advisor to involve an ethics advisor in your proposal. we may put special conditions on the review and so on. So if your proposal raises ethics issues and you don't address them comprehensively in the proposal in section 4 of in section 5 of part B, then you may get ethics requirements imposed on your project by us, and in difficult cases we may even send your proposal to an in-depth ethics assessment, and you may have ethics checks in the lifetime of the projects. Ethics assessments are rare in DG Connect. They happen all the time in ICT for help, but in other projects they normally do not happen. Likewise with ethics checks during the lifetime of the proposal. You get an ethics summary report on the ethics review when your proposal was successful. In some of the topics, and I'm coming to the end, in some of the topics we have responsible research and innovation aspects. This is then explicitly written in the work program. You will find a sentence like, in order to test the required system, the proposal must include user organizations, for example, in order to take into account social sciences and humanitarian aspects. If you have responsible innovation or SSH, then you will find that in the work program. If you are interested in these aspects and you would like to see more of it, here's the link to the page on the participant portal where you can find more information. To my knowledge, this link will remain the same. Yes, it will remain the same. All the proposals that are successful take part, this is now an obligation, in the Open Research Data Pilot. What you do there is not part of the evaluation. You are allowed to opt out of this pilot, but we want in as many cases as possible, we want that proposals give their results, give their test data to other researchers for free. This is what the pilot is about. But if your data are sensible, if your results are sensible for patenting, for example, you need not do it, and if you can opt out, and you will not be punished for it. Evaluators are not asked any questions about this pilot. If you do not opt out, we want you to give us information on your data management plan, and you have here in the second bullet point, you have the questions that you should address in the data management plan. This plan as well is not part of the information that is evaluated in the evaluation. We want you to disseminate your results and to communicate them. Dissemination means make them public to your scientific community, for community building, for future projects, for having an impact on policymakers, and so on, maybe for finding investment opportunities. Disseminate the results of your projects. We also want you to communicate them. Dissemination addresses specialist target groups, communication addresses the wider public. For when you get 3 million of European funding, you should at least send out a press release to your local media, to your local newspaper, and tell them, yeah, we were successful, we are getting 3 million from Brussels. So please disseminate and communicate, give us a little bit of information on this in the proposal, give us a plan, your target groups, and so on. Tell us a little bit about your narrative that you are going to use, because this will be evaluated under criterion 2, impact. My last slide. We are looking for more experts. If you are not yet in our expert database, please go to our expert database. It is this tab here, work as an expert. There you fill in your information and you may get invited. You may get invited to participate in a commission evaluation. Give us all the information you have. Be precise with your keywords, but put many keywords, because we do keyword researches when we are looking for experts. And of course, if you have more fishing lines in the pond, you will get more fish. So put keywords that really describe your skills, your experience, your training into it. And for the new ones, as for the old ones, please keep it updated. Of course, we are skeptical when we look at a CV that has last been updated in 2011. So if you decide, and we really would like you to put your data in our expert database, if you decide to do so, please keep it updated. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much for your applause. Any questions? Okay. You will get a microphone. Wait, please. I have one person here.
So, I have two questions. The first one is regarding the number of partners. Has the number of partners, when it is more than 2, any influence, any relevance on the assessment?
Can you say it again, please?
The number of partners, does it have any influence, any relevance for the assessment? In case that the number is more than 2, you expect 3 partners at least.
The formal question is, you have to have the number of partners in order for your proposal to be eligible. This is normally for a research and innovation action or an innovation action. This is normally 3, or you need only to be 1 partner if you go for a CSA. As I told you, sometimes it's more for special calls, in particular international calls, for example. But if you ask for 20 million in a huge proposal, where you normally need more partners in order to get all the necessary competencies together, then it plays a role. So you have a formal answer and an informal one.
Okay, and thank you. And my second question is, so is any mixture of partners required? So, for For example, can there be only universities or only industries or
in very rare cases, we say a solid participation of industrial partners must be aimed at. In rare cases, we say user organizations must be involved. Similar things happen, but if this is the case, then it is in the topic description in the work program. If there is nothing, and you can implement your proposal only with universities, welcome.
Thank you. The question is about the format for the CV for this evaluator. You know, because I'm working last 10, 20 years mostly on the IPI project, and I have this CV created in this way. Is this acceptable? This is my experience, which I get through this working in these IPA projects, acceptable for this in H2020 or not?
What does IPA projects mean?
EPUB, that's instrument of pre-accessing. This is outside of the 28. This is for the developing countries. Donation projects, which is European Union spent, I don't know, 1.7 billion in this region, 2.7 billion in these 7 years.
I know nothing about that. Send me an email, I'm gonna give you my business card. I've never heard about it.
This is outside of the
You know, I'm someone who has a tunnel vision on H2020 and nothing else. Any more questions?
So I'm concerned also with the consortium. How do you evaluate, let's say, balancing among the partners, right? Let's say personal month that each partner has to perform within the project. Is that that plays that? I mean, there's a role of that criteria in evaluation.
I hope I got your question right. We are asking as one of the sub-criteria under implementation, we are asking that any partner in the proposal must have a real role to play in it, and this must be shown by the resources that are given to this partner. We have cases, I would say regularly, where you have fake partners in quotes, people who have a shiny name, who are nice to have in any project in a certain area, but who do not have a real role to play in the proposal. If this is the case, you get a remark by the experts, and if it is serious, you lose half a point. Okay? So if you have partners in the proposal, give them a decent role. Okay?
Okay, so not a question, but a comment, if you don't mind. I'm Adina Nemet. I'm the national contact point for Hungary.
Come to me, yes. So that you will be in the spotlight.
So if you see people walking around in these nice green T-shirts, we are all national contact points in each and every country of the EU, associated countries, as well as many other countries as well. And we offer lots of free services to support you in preparing proposals and building consortia for the project. And I would like to highlight two things right now. One, we have a topic tree on our website, which helps you navigate the topics of the work program and find out what the relations between them are. And at this event, we are offering a free proposal idea check service. This is on the last day of event, on Thursday. from 11:30 to 1 p.m. So if you have a project idea for a specific program topic, you can just come to room 217, and an experienced national contact point will be there to help you and give you feedback.
Shame on me. I forgot to mention them, although I was going down at 1 o'clock in order to check out where their stand is. Ideal IST, Idealist, are they called? This is what you can see here on the shirt. They have a stand on the ground floor in the entrance hall, close to the commission stand. So if you are looking for a partner, these are your women and men. They have been around for many years. They are specialized in partner searching and partner providing. If I may say so, they are a real matchmaking agency. And this afternoon only, there is also a lady at their stand from the Serene 4 project, and they help you find partners for security-related proposals. If you want to submit a proposal that is security-related, cybersecurity, national security, counterterrorism, and so on, and you are looking for partners, go down. Today, she will not be here tomorrow, and on Thursday, she may help you find partners as well.
Thank you.
A pleasure. I'm really shame on me. Shame on me. Anything else? We have a lady here. Thank you.
Is there any minimum criteria for SMEs, like how young an SME can be part of these consortiums?
As I told you, we want SMEs on board. Sometimes this is written in the work program. It is in ICT less frequent than in other research and innovation projects that are run by our colleagues from Directorate General Research and Innovation. But we are asking for it. It is a ranking criterion, as I told you, SME budget, and SMEs are welcome, of course. We do not run, there is an SME program, and ICT is not part of it. We do not have SME calls. Okay?
Sorry, I have another question. Sorry, how important is experience in EU projects for a successful proposal? Is it that every partner has to have that experience?
Experience is never a downside. It helps. Frankly, it helps, but it is no criterion at all. For example, we are asking explicitly, we are asking people, we are asking the experts to look at the core of the idea, to look at the substance of the proposal, and not to be deviated by nice language. There are consultants who specialize in proposal writing, and they know how to let the words flow. And then we have proposers who cannot afford that, universities, for example, who don't want to afford that or who cannot, and who may not be native English speakers. We are asking experts, look at the substance of the proposal, don't get deviated by experience, by nice language, and so on. I would say it helps, but it does not help a lot.
I'm talking about experience in conducting projects, not in writing them, right? So to say, if you have inexperienced partners in the consortium, whether that is a criteria for
Not at all. No. If you have partners, and in section 4 of part B, when they describe who they are and who will work on the project, and this information is correct, then there is no problem at all.
Hello. Sorry, I got cold, so that's why I speak like this. Sorry for that. Thank you for your presentation. I'm coming from Australia, and we are from like the research and SME section in Australia, and we are moving our services and research to Europe. So recently we came to an agreement with like Germans, but we are going to like establish, of course, legal entities here in Europe to do the like joint research and stuff. So if we want to participate in one of these projects and stuff, our CV is mostly based on what we did in Australia. So is that a weak point or a strength point? I mean, and of course we don't have any experience in like such projects before. So how do you take that?
I would say no. If you send me over Dr. Smith, and Dr. Smith has had wonderful results in Australia, this will be no disadvantage.
So it's a good thing.
This is like any Mr. Smith from the United Kingdom, or from Ireland.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Maybe because I'm mentioning the United Kingdom, for the time being, there is no problem at all with UK entities. This may change